Welcome to Shifting Impressions, Conversations with the Realm of Beings, with me, Gretta Chamberlain, Yvonne Kraeher, Leigh Stima, and the Realm of Beings. Shifting Impressions, which is one of the vehicles that supports the transmission of the Realm of Beings, is here to assist you in delving into your being by providing numerous topics and discussions for you to intake as you deepen your connection with your inner world. Shifting Impressions is here to assist you in strengthening yourself as you excavate to understand your true nature. Leigh, Yvonne, and myself, with the Realm of Beings, eagerly invite you to join us today and learn to shift your mindset, shift your thoughts, and shift your focus to recreate your life and produce a new you. Shifting Impressions starts now.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Shifting Impressions, Conversations with the Realm of Beings. I'm Leigh, I'm here with Yvonne and Gretta, and as always, the Realm of Beings. And we are very happy to be on Transformation Talk Radio every Friday at 11 a.m. Eastern, 8 a.m. Pacific. You can find us on all of your podcast streaming services, Facebook Live, all of those good places. When you hear the term Realm of Beings, you might ask yourself how they operate in our lives and does everyone have access to them? We cover this thoroughly in our first episode if you're new to us. So please go back and take a listen if you have any questions. Overall, we want these conversations to help you examine your life and your creation of reality. They will help you to shift your impressions and understand what you're creating in your life and how it shows up. We have a special request that we'd like to make of the listeners who are joining us. If you find the content that we're sharing with you valuable, would you help us and like us on YouTube or share our content on Facebook, or even leave us a review on one of your podcast streaming services, because that would help us get elevated in the algorithm so more people can hear what we're talking about in these conversations. So if you can do that, we thank you very much for the help and the support. So ladies, today we are talking about the quotation, there are many different chakra systems. The 7 chakra system is only one of them. So it's interesting that the realm would even talk about this at all, I guess. So since the quote exists, I guess it must be an important system that we should understand. So where would we like to start this week?
The first thing, I'd forgotten that we were going to do this one, tell you the honest God truth. And so I said, oh my, I have to go back and review my chakras. One thing is that most of us believe in the fact that only 7 chakras exist. And if anybody's in the audience, if you want to contribute to it, we'd appreciate it with our chat number. And I think that's somewhere there. Jacob will put it there for you. I'd like you to contribute to this. The chakras are very important, but most people deal with 7. Right off the top of my head, the only ones that I can think of are the heart chakra, the throat chakra, what is it, the solar plexus? Yvonne, you're more versed.
It's the root, the sacral. The root is all the way at your perineum. Then the sacral is like kind of energy center.
Kind of.
Next one going up, and then your solar plexus in your belly, your heart, and then your throat, your third eye, and then the crown chakra. They all are, a lot of times people think of them, they associate them as wheels and with colors, with sounds.
Mm-hmm.
it is a system, and I think it's an entryway into understanding that we have energy that operates. Our bodies are energy, and these wheels, front and back of the body, are constantly in motion, either outputting or inputting. But like you said, to talk about this quote today, it's not just limited to these 7 wheels, these chakras in the body. It goes beyond that. There's chakras everywhere in your palms of your hands, your feet. I mean, everywhere. So, because we're always constantly emitting vibration and taking in others' vibrations, because we're energy. So,
I find chakras very fascinating in that in the beginning, I was along with other people saying, okay, there's 7, and I know you always see the pictures, you see the colors of them. And when I was reading up on chakras many years ago, it said that when you get the 8th chakra, let me say this, the 7 chakras are in your body, right? One right up under the other. That's how they picture it. The 8th chakra is going to be up here. It's going to be above the crown chakra, what people call the crown chakra. And then I read that the 8th one shows that you've developed a certain sense of quote unquote spirituality. And that's why you've taken on the 8th chakra. So in my investigation, and I'm talking about at least 4 or 5, 6 years ago, that's why I laughed, because I've got to call all this back to memory, that there are different types. I found a Buddhist chakra system that only had 4 chakras to it. I found about the Hawaiian chakra system, which has 7, but it's based on the 7 Hawaiian islands. And I think there's 7 Hawaiian islands, but I know for the Hawaiian system, it's 7. And it is based on the islands. And then there was another chakra system that I found that was 12. And then I found another one that had 36 chakras. But every time they talked about whatever system it was always like this. It was always vertical, and it was always inside, the bodies. Now the colors, like when you get to 36, the colors were different. I didn't really go into the examination of what each chakra in that 36 chakra system meant, Then I went and said, well, how did we, as in Western culture, come to the understanding of this whole system of chakras? Then I found out that I read that Blavatsky, I can never remember her first name, she came out of Eastern Europe, and she was exploring spirituality, and she wanted to bring more of the Eastern influence into Western culture. Eventually, she moved from Europe and came to live in the United States. And she's one of the founders of the Theosophical Society that some of you in our audience might want to check that out. Theo, means God. So Theosophical Society. She was one of the founders. And so in keeping with her thoughts on wanting to merge Eastern thought with Western thought, she went to India. And she, I don't know how long she lived there, but she did work with Mahatma Gandhi. I know she did that. She became familiar with the Ayurvedic system. That is a healing system. a very spiritual system that comes out of India. Some of you probably look at some of the Ayurvedic um, supplements that you can use, that type of thing. So they were the ones that fostered the 7 chakra system. And so when she came back into the United States, she brought that whole concept with her. And that's why all of us are, including myself, got into the 7 system of chakras. So that kind of gives you a little bit of history. Now, Blavatsky wrote the Secret Doctrine. And anyone out there, correct me if I'm giving you some information that might not be totally correct. Please correct me. You're welcome to do that. She also created the book Isis Unveiled. So she's written about two or three books. Now, the Secret Doctrine was channeled to her, and it was by the individual that we call the Tibetan. Now, I would like the audience to know that we're talking about the 1920s. This is being done in 1920. So these thought systems that we say that's quote unquote new thought is really old thought. So, and if you get a chance to read The Secret Doctrine by Blavatsky, I think you'll find it interesting. The same entity that channeled to her channeled to another person in the 1920s called Alice Bailey. The Lucis Trust, which is located in New York, you can connect to. That's LUCIS, Trust. You can become a member of it, or they can send you pamphlets of when they're having activities, but they house her books there. You can still buy her Alice Bailey's books. My God, she's got at least 20 of them. And they've all been channeled by way of the Tibetan. So you have 2 women who have the same individual channeling to them, of which one of them, like I said, created the Theosophical Society, which is still going on today, and the Lucis Trust, which is still going on today. Okay, so that gives that somewhat of a historical background about the people that dealt with that. Now, back to the chakras themselves. I can only talk about it in reference to my own experience. I noticed that most of the people that I facilitate for have more than 8 chakras. Like I can tell the audience right now that Yvonne has more than 8, and so does Leigh. And so do I, I had a friend, a Babalao, he's Mendi, that's from country in Africa, on the continent of Africa, Sierra Leone. And Michael and I are friends, even though we haven't spoken to each other for quite a while. But I had to facilitate for him because he was having some challenges with his some part of his body. And I can only call its name. I'm not going to bring HIPAA into this, but when I looked at him to facilitate, do the work, I always look at the chakras, and I always look to see how many chakras does the person have, because that kind of lets me know where that person is as far as the understanding of the spirituality to a certain degree. So when you say spirit, you add the spirituality with the chakras, I would be in agreement with that so far, because I'm changing every day, so who knows. And then when I looked at him, I said, wow, if you look at when I look and I see people that have chakras from, let's say all the way up to maybe 19, the reality of it is very just regular. Like if I see you with 7 chakras, if I see you with 15 chakras, it's very regular space. I can see. Now, if you get to 20, it's a whole different ballgame. That's what I learned from working with him. I call it, and Yvonne and Leigh jump in at any point. I call it the borealis. Now it's not. Let me say this: it is not the borealis that we know here. I call it the borealis because it just looks that way to me. Where it is, I have not the foggiest idea. I know it's another reality. So you're existing once you get 20 chakras and more, you're in a whole different reality. And it's absolutely beautiful. If you want to know what I see, then go on the internet and look up the borealis, look up those vehicles that you use to look at images, and they will show you a picture of the borealis. When you see the borealis, then you'll understand what I'm talking about. It's absolutely, positively fantastic. But you have to have 20 or more chakras for you to be existing in that reality. Now, I've had one person, I didn't mean to cut you off, but I've had one person over the 30 years I've been doing this work who had 19 chakras, and she was in the borealis. So I think what happened was that she was moving to gain chakra, creating chakra 20, and but hadn't quite made it yet. So it was like on the edge, but it was enough for me to say that she was in the borealis. Somebody was going to say something.
Yeah, I was gonna jump in, Greta.
Mm-hmm.
Our listeners might be thinking this too, a question that came up in my mind. Like, doesn't everybody have these? Like, how are we, like born with awareness or unaware? Like, how do you get them? I mean, like, you said so and so has 7, or this one has 10, and somebody else has 19 and all that. So I'm just curious, like, are you born with them? Are you born with the potential? What is that like? What is that all about?
That's an excellent question. I'm so glad you asked me that, because then we have to look at, well, to answer your question, I think it has something to do with your spirituality, because like my friend was very attuned into realities and so forth. So very attuned, very, very spiritual person. And I think that influences them as well. Children, I had one student, he was 5, and I was facilitating for him. He had 15. Where there are some adults that I will facilitate for only have 7. So it has something to do with your evolution into spirituality. Okay. Now, let's go back to that question. Where do they come from? You create them, because you create everything that is for your being. However, then we have to examine what are the chakras. The chakras themselves, I found one day it was given to me, and I said, doggone it. I was studying chemistry. I was doing chemistry. I was reviewing chemistry for the classes that I had. And so I got into some section, I can't remember what it was, and it was given to me. I said, doggone it. I was reading about atoms and so forth, and it said, there's your chakra system. And it was electrons. So then I realized, I said, oh my God, the chakras are electrons. See, whereas before I wasn't seeing all that, you see according to how much you know. So if you're gaining knowledge about something, the rest of this starts to come more and more to you, but you have to seek it. So I wanted to know what were chakras, and then I started seeing them different. And I see the little electrons. In science, I think they call them free electrons because they're not connected to atoms. When the electrons are free, that means there's no connection to an atom. So there are two. And I'm going, okay. And I could see them moving. So each chakra that you have is a set of electrons. Okay. So then I started looking up, well, what kind of, how are they moving? What are they moving like? Because I use them in the facilitation work, so I got to know. So then when I was looking, I could see them. So then I said, they're doing an orbit. They're doing an orbit of something. So then I started looking up orbits. And I said, oh, they're in the S1 orbit. So when they're doing their regular thing, they're moving in an S1 orbital. Now, those of you out there, there's no, go look up orbitals and look up S1, and that'll help you see what direction these electrons are moving. In the work that I do, we have to align the chakras, make sure that the electrons are moving in an S1 orbital. And then we have to make sure that the chakras are in alignment. Now, what does that mean? Then I learned I would just shift them over and move them in alignment, okay? Then I realized I was taught that, Greta, you've got more than 7, you got more than 20. And then I realized, I said, oh my God, we got trillions of them. Trillions of chakras in your physical body. Trillions, okay? Even going into billions. Because what are they? They're part of the electrical system of each individual's body. Because we have subtle bodies. See, everybody thinks that this vehicle here is it, and it by no means is it. You have about 20 other bodies that are connected to this. Some people write about your emotional body. They write about your mental body. Those are basic 2 that they talk about. But you've got an electrical body. Without that electrical body, this vehicle is not going to run. So go ahead. You ask the question.
I think that at least from my own experience, more and more people are accepting of acupuncture, which is based on ancient Chinese medicine, which is another whole. I'm not sure if you mentioned it or not.
No, I did not.
People like are familiar with, like you said, the Ayurvedic system from India, but there's also, thousands of years old. The Chinese had mapped out the electrical system of the body, which is what they use tiny little needles to unblock what they perceive as blockages in the physical body. That whole concept, you can't see those blockages they don't show up on any test, like any medical test. So it's more like you have to trust or kind of, believe in whatever, or support whatever like a practitioner is doing. For me, I do subscribe to it. I have experienced acupuncture, and it's relaxing, and I've had some physical challenges that have helped, relieve, the process has helped me unwind them, relieve them. So, besides the energy work and the facilitation that you do, there's also things out there that address like another electrical system in the body. That's all I wanted to just mention, because
Right, right.
it is a
So
valid.
in that acupuncture, I would equate that with the etheric body.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I think they do
Equate that with
too.
the etheric body.
Yeah.
Because
Okay.
the etheric body, because you have different facets of Oriental medicine.
Mm,
You have acupressure, you have acupuncture, you got so many things that deal with the body, and that's and doing pinpoints here and pinpoints there. They're dealing with the etheric body, what
yeah,
I
I
call
think
the
that
etheric body.
feels correct, because like I've heard it described like, like acupuncture, there's all these channels that like is the map of the energy in the body. And
Mhm.
um I've heard the metaphor like where people describe electricity as, you can't see that, but it exists and we all benefit from it. So like that's the kind of the alignment, like, okay, there's this system in the body like electricity, but like you said, it's referred to like as your etheric body, that you can sort of have an effect on by manipulating it in a way, like with tools or like your thought, whatever you choose to do. So
Well, see, what I'm saying is, and you might have misconstrued what I said. I'm not equating the etheric body with the electrical body.
right,
I'm
right,
just saying that in acupuncture and so forth, they're using what we call the etheric body, because that's the grid.
yeah,
So
nature.
they're using the grid, right?
Mhm.
But the electrical body is a whole different other body, and
Mhm.
it's connected to the chakras. Like when we do our work, if the electrical body is off, if you, those of you who are familiar with on the 4th of July or some special occasion, take those little sparklers, and, you light them and they sparkle all over the place, like that. Okay, when we look at the electrical body, we'll see it spark out, and it'll be white. It's a white spark. So several sparkles. Then that lets us know that there are things inside the electrical body that have become disconnected. When they've become disconnected, that lets us know what we teach to people that are learning this from us. We teach that if there's something going on with your electrical body, there's something going on with your chakras. If there's something going on with your chakras, then there's something going on with your electrical body. So we have to put the electrical called streams of energy, put the electrical body stream of energy back into its right place. Then from there, we've got to make sure that the streams of energy from the electrical body that go out to the chakras. See, the chakras are really part of the electrical system. That's what they are. So we have to extend the streams from the electrical body to the individual chakras, making sure that they are functioning well and that they're receiving the electrical energy that they're supposed to have. That's why every cell in your body has a set. And it's like the mitochondria. The mitochondria is how the cell breathes. Okay, some cells will have 5 mitochondria in it. Some will have less. It depends on the use of the cell. Is it a muscle cell? If it's a muscle cell, it's going to have more mitochondria in it, okay, than another cell. So it's the same thing with the chakras. I look at them, when I see them, I've created them to look like pea pods. Like you have a pea pod and then you have all these little peas inside the pod.
Mm-hmm.
I always see this container and I see the number of chakras that cell needs in order to operate. So we make sure that all of the chakras of the cells are working. and the nanocells. We'll talk about nanocells another day. But still, you guys
Hey,
really
all this topic is fascinating to me. I hope our listeners are enjoying it as much as I'm enjoying it. But we are at a point in our podcast halfway through that we need to step out and take a quick break. And we are going to do that. And when we come back, we will be back with the realm. That's a nice treat. And so yeah, stay tuned. We'll be back in a couple of minutes. Thanks for listening.
Hello, and welcome back to Shifting Impressions, Conversations with the Realm of Beings. We have reached the point in the podcast where the realm gets to weigh in on what we've been talking about earlier. So, realm, are you with us?
Yes, we're here, all of us.
Okay. So earlier in the podcast, we were talking about your quotation. There are many different types of chakra systems. The 7 chakra system is only one of them. So I have a question because I posit that these are, when we see, we have to start somewhere, right? So we can start with 7 to try and understand a general outline, right? And then we can kind of expand on that. So, I mean, is this like just a way for humans to be able to like comprehend that their energy and these spinning vortices of energy within the body are like centers that kind of manage all of these different frequencies for us, and that they should be, maybe when these things are not in, coherence, that's when like emotionally things get off balance for us, or psychologically things get off balance for us, because they're basically just like maybe like a transformer or something, like to take the energy of the force to kind of step it down to what a human can work with.
Thank you, Leigh. We're trying to see how to. We heard your talk that you were having earlier. What we want to say is that many individuals, not all, but many species have electrical bodies, have an electrical system here. Like the reptilians have an electrical system. For sure, the Pleiadians have an electrical system. But let's stay with humanoid experience. You have an electrical system, so it keeps, this might be a repeat of what all of you talked about, but it's a system that keeps your physical body going. Notice we said the physical body going. It, in that every cell in your body needs a little jolt to keep it going, you see. And your electrical body that you have supports that. But like we said, everything has a chakra system that's humanoid. So sometimes some people will feel, or a person will feel, that they're not, I don't feel quite right. I don't know what's happening to me, but I don't feel quite right. I feel off today. more than likely the reason why they're feeling off today is that a chakra or a set of chakras or many chakras are off. So you bring the chakras back into alignment. But most people here only feel that there are 7. So there are people that do this work that will say, I bring your chakras back into alignment, but they're only working with those 7 vertical ones, you see. And your physical body runs on more than just those 7. Now, they're part of the system, don't get me wrong. They're part of the system, but the system is much larger than what you think the system is. And that everything, the way your physical body has been created, needs electrical impulses to help you keep moving, keeping alive. Illness can affect the chakra system. It can throw the chakras off. Your emotional being, if you're angry, get extremely angry. There's some people that cannot contain their anger. So with that anger, that intensity, they can throw their chakras off, which means then they're throwing the electrical system off. So that means then that there's a repair of the electrical system that needs to take place. And the way things are at this point, people are functioning with the physical body to bring the physical body into perfect health, but they're not realizing that there are other bodies that have to go along with it for the person to be in perfect health. That's why sometimes you'll see that a person will get well, quote unquote, well from something that they've created, a disease that they have created. They'll get well by taking supplements or medicines that you say, regardless if they're natural or not. We're not entertaining that concept this morning. But if the chakras have not been put back into place, that can still cause them to go through the health challenge again, or it's not fully repaired, you see.
So
Go ahead.
You gave us this quotation. What do the listeners need to know? I mean, can you give them a way if they don't have access to some energy worker, or how do we balance these things ourselves? Can we?
Well, you create the reality yourself, and then the chakras support you. It's just like you create the reality and your genes support you. So the thing that you can learn, the reason why we talked about the chakras in the first place was to expand the knowledge. We wanted to provide a little bit more knowledge of your whole, how your physical body operates. But the bottom line is that your emotions and your thoughts drive everything. So if you are getting angry at somebody and you want to stay in that place, it's okay, because you're learning things, but you have to understand that you are affecting your physicality. You're affecting the cells that are in your body. You're affecting the subtle bodies. You're affecting the electrical system that gives the impulses to it. You see, so you're actually throwing off your whole body. That's why we wanted to talk about the chakras. That's why we had that quote, because it's important for people to realize their emotions are not just emotions, but they affect everything. You know, it'll affect your chakras. Your chakras get off, you're off.
So
And
Ralph,
if you go ahead, ask me.
sorry to
No
interrupt
problem.
you.
Mm.
So basically, from if I'm hearing this correctly, we don't need somebody like we're the captain of our own ship, so we're in charge of basically, like, we can align these chakras ourselves and keep them healthy, free of physical ailments, if we do the work in recognizing some of our emotions, like anger. Like you mentioned, anger, it's a pretty intense thing that if you hold on to it, it can affect, like you said, your chakra system. And so I imagine, like, if you're processing through your emotions, that you could effectively put your own chakras back. Like you could create that. Is that a right kind of a, am I on the right track?
Well, you see, if you're into that emotionality, there's a whole lot that goes along with that. That is just one part that can affect the chakras to be off. One thing that we would suggest is that you can seek out practitioners that put chakras together. There are even machines that people are creating that can bring your chakras back into alignment because they're making use of electrical impulses and so forth. If you don't have access to that, note that you created the chakras to be out of alignment anyway. So if you understand that, okay, I'm feeling a little off today. That's one reason why we said that. If I'm feeling a little bit off today, then 9 times out of 10, it's going to be your chakras are off. So then you can request them to become normalized and to go back into alignment. See, we don't think that we can heal our bodies. We think that the healing takes place by way of somebody else giving us something. That we have to take an herb, that we have to take some allopathic medicine. Now, I'm not saying don't go to the doctor. We're not saying that. It's important for you to connect with your medical practitioners, be it a functional doctor, be it an allopathic doctor, be it a doctor of Oriental medicine. That's important because your physical body needs that support. But at the same token, we're saying that you can also, you have the power to create the ailment. So you have the power to uncreate it. So sometimes it can be to say, I put any of my chakras that are out of alignment, put them back in alignment. I want all of my chakras that are out of alignment in alignment. All chakras are back in alignment. You make the request. Yes, you'd be surprised. But if you halfway believe it and halfway don't believe it, it's not going to work. You have to fully understand something and you have to fully recognize that, yes, I can do this. You can speak it all you want, but if you don't believe it, if you don't recognize that you have the power to do that, then you can't. You can only do what you feel you have the power to do. See, that's the limitation that exists for you in this reality. You believe in limitation. That is why you experience it. And you experience it. You can be a millionaire and still be in limitation. You're not outside of it. You know, It just so happens that to be a millionaire fits in the lessons that you have that go along with that are the lessons that you have chosen to learn. And you've chosen the how to being a millionaire. Somebody can choose another how. But the bottom line is you are not a limited being. You are a divine being. You have the potential and you have the ability to heal yourselves. You just think you don't. So that's why you don't. The chakras are just a means of assisting you in maintaining yourself in equilibrium and helping you to maintain your stability in this reality that you're in. And we want you to note that not every species has chakras. You see, we want you to note that as well. And not every species is set up like your body is set up. There are some species that their basic cell structure is triangular and not elliptical or circular like yours are. So their electrical system, there's some species where the electrical systems are far more complex than the electrical systems that a humanoid individual has. But your chakras were put there to assist you in the maintenance of the physical body. You see. Now, does it go with you when you make your transition? Possibly, but you don't take your physical body with you. You're leaving your physical body behind. You know, you don't take it with you. Even if you think that you're going into, some people believe in the rapture. We're going into the rapture. That's okay. That's your belief system. We honor you to believe that. However, you're still not taking your physical body with you. Most people in the rapture believe they're leaving their physical bodies behind anyway. You see. So when you leave that physical body behind, you don't necessarily need that chakra system the way it is at this point in this reality. Yes, there will be something else that will keep you moving in your next transitional portal that you are in. So from transitional portal to transitional portal, you yourself as your being at this stage is changing. It's like if you go and you look at the evolution of the human race, and you can see that at certain points of the human race, you didn't even look like you look now. It's in a constant state of change, depending on where the collective group is. Notice we said the collective group. Yes, where you're at. So basically, the chakras are electrons, as you call it. So we're using the terminology that's used here in this reality in science. So we're saying to you that it is 2 electrons. Yes, but it is energy. Yes. But then now you get into what energy is it? See, as scientists for energy will think atoms, protons, neutrons, all those wonderful words that have been created to name the nomenclature for the energy. So that's your humanoid energy that you have, but you're operating not on that humanoid energy. You just know energy as you've been taught by your scientists and books and things like that. And you've heard us talking about that everything is one. There is no separation. However, the energy that you're using to do certain things here is not necessarily the energy that is used to keep your chakras running. A whole nother ball game of energy. Because you are the force. So the energy, you're also using the energy of the force. The energy that runs your chakra systems are the energy of the force. It's
Round.
not, yes.
Before we wrap this up, can you just do the colors have anything to do with anything?
They have something to do with everything because you believe that. You believe that one is orange, one is green, one is red, one is yellow. You believe that. So, and you believe that each one of those colors has frequency and vibration. So, and you believe, you've been taught that if the crown chakra does this, the heart chakra does that, the solar plexus chakra does this. You believe it. So you, since you believe it, that's what you see.
Realm, we are just about ready to wrap up another podcast. Do you have closing words for our listeners?
As always, Leigh, we have a closing thing, and that is for everyone to love themselves first. Love yourself unconditionally, no conditions to it, so that you're not beating up on yourself. You're not feeling guilty about anything that you create. There's no need. Just love yourselves unconditionally and watch your quote unquote world change before your eyes.
Thank you, Realm. Thank you, listeners. I guess before we wrap this up, it might be prudent for me to say on this podcast, we are not offering any sort of medical advice. We are not claiming to be physicians, so always see your medical advisor if you have any complications. Listeners, thank you for joining us. Thank you, Yvonne. Thank you, Greta. Thank you, Realm of Beings, for sharing your wisdom. This has been Shifting Impressions, conversations with the Realm of Beings until we create each other again.
Once again, thanks for joining us at Shifting Impressions, Conversations with the Realm of Beings on TransformationTalkRadio.com. As you have explored today's creation of reality experience with Leigh, Yvonne, the Realm, and me, Greta, each of you is being supported by us in further developing the understanding that you are not just an individual existing in linear time and space, but a multi-dimensional force of infinite possibilities who is connected to all. So begin to create the realities you want. Join us every Friday at 8 a.m. Pacific Time and 11 a.m. Eastern Time on Shifting Impressions at TransformationTalkRadio.com. So long until we create each other again next Friday.